Today's Thursday, so we talk about success for Scrum Masters. We've been sharing success stories here on the podcast since 2015, so there's a lot to learn. But wouldn't you like to learn from people with decades of experience? Well, don't worry, we've got you covered. The Scrum Master Toolbox podcast launched Tips from the Trenches, the Scrum Master Edition audiobook. That's version 2 now out. There are 13 audio interviews, 3 hours of audio with Scrum Masters that have decades of experience. We've got Mike Cohn, Linda Rising, Lisa Crispin, Christopher Avery, Emily Weber, myself, your podcast host, Yves Hanul, the editor of the original Tips from the Trenches ebook, also available with the audiobook. Altogether, 13 super experienced Scrum Masters. To learn more, visit bit.ly/audiotips2. That's bit.ly/AUDIOTIPS and the numeral 2 at the end, all lowercase, all one word. So one more time, that's bit.ly/audiotips2 to learn more. And now, on to today's show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday, Success Thursday episode this week with Julio de Lima. Hi, Julio. Welcome back.
Hello.
So this week, as many of you already know, is a different week. It's a week where we explore the perspective of a team member. Julio is a QA, a very experienced QA. And therefore, the questions we ask are slightly different, still about the same topics. Let's start with the retrospective question, Julio. From your perspective as a team member, what do you think are the retrospective formats that work best for you?
Okay, great. My favorite one is to divide the retrospective into the point of view of each one in the team from the technological perspective, the process, and the people, and saying what was good, what should improve, and what should not happen anymore, This for sure is my favorite one.
So when you think about retrospectives that you have participated in with that format specifically, what do you think are kind of the biggest advantages of using that format?
Okay, the big advantages that I found on it is that people can be driven by some categories, When I was in a team that was not using this kind of format, people were a little bit puzzled, lost on what we need to think about, because there are a lot of people that is not paying attention during the sprint on the points. Personally, I always took notes during the sprint, in order to help me to be more present on the retrospective. But that categories help us to remember even when we didn't took notes about it,
Yeah, absolutely. I also find that, in software development, we're very much, most of us engineers, not all, but many of us are engineers and have an engineering background. And engineers very famously have this very concrete thinking approach, right? Rather than abstract thinking, we very often are concrete thinkers. And what comes to mind when you talk about these categories, process, people, technology, is that it helps our mind focus on certain things, and it helps improve our ability to recollect what happened in those three categories over the duration of a sprint. Is that how you see it, Julio?
Yes, for sure. And I also have a situation when it was proved. What you said was proved, There was a time when I was talking during the week. I was talking with my colleague. He is a developer, and he was complaining to me about the problem that he has on the pipeline. He has a problem that there was a test that was failing And without any changes on the code, this piece of test started to pass, So, and it was intermittent, It was not how do I say, deterministic behavior for that test. And during the retrospective, he was trying to talk about that, And during the speech, he was not sure on what kind of way he can be able to say that. So the only way that he described the situation was the test pass and the test fails, But this kind of point of view was not helping a lot. So he started to place that feedback on technology and in people, and this helped him to understand better what kind of situation were there, The first one was the technology perspective, because the testing is avoiding him to be more productive. And the second one is that I were not very committed to help him, And this is a people perspective.
Yeah, and that actually illustrates how investigating a problem from these three different perspectives actually gives us much more insight than to just describe factually what is happening.
Perfectly, exactly.
So, of course, on Thursdays, we talk about success. And actually, one of the things that I want to ask is not really related to Scrum Master, but rather your own experience. As a QA, what do you think for you means to be successful in an Agile team context? What does that success mean for you as a QA in an Agile team?
Okay. Success for me is to not be needed by the team in order to and the team to be how they say, able to work with quality without me. It's tricky, because I am saying that I don't want to be there, but it's not just it, is I don't want to be needed because all of my colleagues learned to play the QA role, I'm talking about QA culture. Do you know what I mean?
Well, explain to us what you mean by the QA culture. I mean, you wrote that in the bio that we read at the start, but what does it mean for you? How do you describe that?
Okay. So during the last days on this episode, I shared my point of view regarding my role as a QA in the team. I need to share my knowledge with my colleagues. I need to share. And I share by testing in peers and events, internal events and etc. This kind of knowledge should be, how they say, incorporated by my colleagues, And when I go to vacations, for example, they were able to to think critically about the acceptance tests, to think critically about the user stories, should think critically about the test cases and things like that, So QA culture for me is everyone in my team thinks like me, They understand my point of view, and then they apply my point of view even when I am not there. That's the QA culture.
So everyone recognizes what thinking like a QA means, and they are able to apply it.
Exactly.
That's a very interesting perspective, and funnily enough, it's actually quite similar to the perspective that many Scrum Masters have shared here on the podcast. And actually, that's my next question, which is, for you as a team member, what do you identify as this successful outcome for a Scrum Master's role? Give us that team member perspective. What does a successful Scrum Master look like?
Great. For me, is is the person that is able to help me to correct my path independently if he is caring or not about what I will think about him or her, do you know? I mean, it's a kind of person that can help me to understand where I am flowing and where this flaw will hurt and how this flaw will hurt my colleagues and the process itself and the product itself. Do you know what I mean?
So it's kind of somebody who helps you reflect and understand where you might need to improve, right?
Yes, exactly. Because you can be the most engaged person, you know. You can be the most, how they say, willing to win person. But sometimes you lost your track, you know. And yeah, the Scrum Master for me is the person that helps me to improve.
And in your practice and working with many Scrum Masters over your career, what does that look like? Like, how does it feel for you as a QA when a Scrum Master is able to help you? Like, what do they do? What are the things they say or they prepare or they organize for you to be able to do that reflection and to do that improvement?
Okay, I have one quick example. Could I go ahead with this?
Go for it.
Excellent. So I remember the first time that I started to estimate effort together with developers, do you know? Because I brought something from the waterfall in the first team that I've worked that was to do estimatives in silos. I will estimate the testing and you guys estimate the development. Do you know, that is for sure it's not a good practice. But I changed this with my team after to find out a lot of problems regarding this, you know, as we started to say, this is my part was done and your part wasn't, you know. So that was the issue. And then together with my team, after some retrospective issues, we made some actions and we decided to change this. And I started to work with the team to provide the estimatives on the effort, on the whole effort. And we did it the first time, it was good. We did it the second time, it was good. And the third one, I missed the track, you know? I started to complain about the development side when I didn't know a lot about that, you know? And then I started to put pressure in my team regarding the estimatives. And this was influencing the team about my estimative points, do you know? So I remember as today that the Scrum Master asked me to drink a coffee, you know, and he said, Julio, you are not helping the team. You are hurting them because everyone started to be, how they say, not feeling comfortable to put their points, since I was complaining a lot about the points that the people were offering, you know.
So it was like you were creating a little bit of a disruption in the estimation process, and the Scrum Master took you aside, invited you for a coffee, and had a conversation with you, kind of trying to highlight that, hey, here's how you are hurting the team.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it does take courage. I mean, as a Scrum Master, I have to say that it does take courage to do that, and of course, it doesn't need to be a tester. It could be an architect, could be even an outside person, or it could be the PO who's putting pressure. And it takes courage to take that time and to actually say, hey, here's how you are increasing the pressure and hurting the team.
Yeah, and he used to have a good approach to this, you know. And after that, I discovered that it's a common practice, you know. But it now it's very clear that he put me in the situation where I was, you know, and then the impact that I produced to the team, you know. It is good to think about this now because it's a good way to provide feedback, you know.
Absolutely. That's a great example for us to learn from and perhaps to copy. Thank you very much for that, Julio.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
Part of a successful Scrum Master job is to help the product owner. Tomorrow we explore that critical role in Scrum, the product owner role. Tune in to learn about the product owner anti-patterns, what you can do to help the product owner, and a real-life example of what a great product owner is and what made it so. Tomorrow on our Friday Product Owner episode. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.